Hello, folks, and welcome back to the podcast that just keeps giving. So, I guess today I wanted to talk about a couple of things. One of them, I don't know how to approach this. I feel like I've talked about body images, like body image issues a lot. I feel like that's a separate conversation, but I guess what I wanted to talk about today was like, how do I phrase this? I guess the lack of like care and empathy towards a specific group. If I'm being honest, I feel like when someone is like drastically underweight, like the worry, like what everyone is going frantic over is like, is this person gonna die? How long can they maintain this? A lot of things going through their head. I feel like also it could be the brunt end of something being reversed or people actually being, I guess, in their eyes, grossed out, which is not appropriate in my opinion. But I feel like the difference for when someone is drastically overweight is like the care is gone and it's gone into a shame factor, like purely shame. And I don't know. I feel like there's like a complete difference of care for how each group is being treated for a health condition that is probably not in their control. Honestly, not that anyone should be worried that people are going to die. Like, I don't think that's the. I just think when I think about it, I think it's just so weird, like the drastic difference of how we could operate. Like if someone is like is having major health issues because they're underweight, I feel like the instant response is like, let's help them with this eating disorder. Let's help them control something that is not really in their control. But I feel like when it's someone that is overweight, the response is you're lazy, you need to stop eating. Like I know there's like the phrase of like eat a burger, but in my experience, I feel like the most I don't think not that I want someone to be concerned about my health, but I don't think anyone was like I don't think I've had more people concerned about like, oh my god, are you okay, than when I was underweight at a period. Which again is not something that like I'm shooting for, but it's just like when you compare the two, it's just like why is this the one that we're concerned about and why is this the one that we show sympathy and empathy to? And the other one is like a complete and utter like afterthought. I don't know. Maybe that's just food for thought. I think of weird things. And I was just thinking about this and I was literally just like there's like such a difference. Like literally if we're comparing the two, there's such a difference. On a lighter note, I thought we could read this article on 35 sex tips and see if they enhance our experience of life. So let's just go through this and see if this is the most mundane or weird thing. I was going through some of them and they seemed like pretty normal. I'm gonna say I was looking for some bizarre stuff. The first one is like very obvious, which is like communication about sex. Like I feel like this is the obvious one, but I don't think it's like the difficulty is oh this person um doesn't know that this is a thing that you should do. I think it's very obvious. It's the difficulty on if people are able to communicate or not. And I feel like that even if they're not able to communicate, which is the biggest one, which is when someone's just like, "Oh, you can just teach them," or they don't want to teach them. I don't think it's about whether you want to teach them. In my experience, I think it's whether if the person is willing to learn. Because I feel like there's very specific people that even if you try to give them instructions on how you want specific things done in the bedroom, they might not take that well due to multiple things. Ego being a big one. Um, I don't know. This is like, yeah, I think everyone knows this one. They didn't really give us any tips onto how to help with the communication. There, way to go, bud. create an atmosphere. This one's, yeah, I feel like this one's really good for females as well. I feel like males want this too. But it's like not just like, a dark lit room with a stained mattress. Like, you know what I mean? It feels, I guess depending on, I'm just repeating. Depending on what your, like, relationship level is or who you are, I feel like it could be, like, a huge thing or it could be definitely an afterthought situation. I feel like especially if you're, like, just, like, starting to date, I don't know. I feel like we've talked about this before, like, people really don't court nowadays. It's really just, like, a casual hookup scenario, and then, like, people, like, decide if they want to pursue something more serious. So I feel like if you created an atmosphere, it would send, like, the message or, like, the signal that you wanted something more serious. And I feel like that could be that's what people are gonna avoid, because who knows what the response is to a bunch of rose petals and candles, and the person that you're mating with just wants to hook up. Like, I feel like that would create, like, the most awkward experience ever. I would literally hate it, which is why my fear of rejection has probably stopped me from doing almost everything. But I feel like if you know, like, you're like, okay, this person's gonna love this, then I feel like, yes, it would 100% enhance whatever is happening in there. Number 3 is role play. I feel like this one's also very obvious. I feel like this one's still a little vanilla, I guess, depending on what you're role playing as. Yeah, I feel like I would be so awkward. Because are we talking about, like, someone's being full-on in character the whole entire time? Because I feel like I would start laughing. I would have to practice, because if I had to, like, act like a character the entire time I was having sex, I would break out in laughter. But I feel like that's 100% not appropriate when you're having sex. So, I don't know. I feel like this one would be nice. But it's like getting over the nerves of trying. This is, I feel like, starting to step out of people's comfort zone. Especially depending on, like, what your role playing is. I feel like you could start off, like, very soft. Or go to a bunch of crazy places. Do, like, specific stuff, characters from movies. I wonder if that's weird. Do you think people think about that? Like, oh, people are dressing up as us and having sex. I don't know. I don't know if that crosses people's mind. Number 4, toys. I don't know about using toys with another person. I guess, like, specific stuff. Like, a couple toy. Like, couples toys. I feel like anything where you're, like, the focus is being taken away from the partner can create, like, huge issues, because then people are literally, like, feeling inadequate and comparing, like, that comes back around. So I feel like the toy one is also a little bit tricky, depending on what people are comfortable with. But I feel like you could, if there's probably a couple toys. I don't know. I've never seen, I feel like most of the stuff for toys, or stuff like, for, like, BDSM stuff, or stuff for, I don't know. I feel like there's stuff for specific body parts, so people can have, like, pleasure in, like, multiple areas at once. Very scientific with this. I don't know. I feel like that wouldn't enhance it. I don't know. I feel like experimentation is needed for that one, unless you already know what you got. Reading dirty stories. This one's a little bit, I don't understand this one. So, like, you're reading the book together, or you're reading the book out loud. I feel like this one would just be, like, you would have to be super comfortable. I feel like it would be more, like, less weird to watch porn in this specific situation. But there was that time that, like, 50 Shades of Grey was, like, going world, like, it was, everyone was reading it, and it was, like, the open invitation to basically watch porn in public, and it was okay. Like, because every person on the planet was doing it. I always thought that was funny. I also think it's funny, like, does anyone know, like, the origin of that? The author of the book wrote, like, submitted a fan fiction, and it was a fan fiction of Twilight, which is, it's crazy. It's not crazy. It's just weird because it has nothing to do with Twilight. Like, she changed it so much. I don't know what the original fan fiction was, but, like, I 100% read fan fiction when I was younger. And there's, like, some that, like, they try to have, like, a continuation of the story where they're just like, oh, let's just, like, write in the show ended, let's see where they picked off. Or, like, we don't like this part, so we're going to change this here. Those are, like, the basic ones. And then there's the other ones where they're like, okay, we basically all we took was these characters' name, and we created a whole universe of our own. And then there's, like, the third category that's basically, like, hardcore porn in a book form. Like, it gets very smutty. But long story short, I don't know how someone found it, but someone found her book on the fan fiction. I'm assuming she did not submit it. I'm pretty sure someone found it. But I just can't imagine how that, like, if someone was looking through fan fiction for a book, or they literally came across it on fanfiction, and they're like, wow, this would be an amazing novel to put out. I don't know what happened, but someone saw it, and they're like, okay, let's just change all the names and all the details, and we can still have this as a, like, standalone book. And that's how 50 Shades of Grey came out. And obviously that one, it blew up, like, massively, like, I don't know if I've seen a craze, like, as much to that date, like, it's crazy. And yes, I have seen every single, I don't think I saw the last one. I think I saw half of it, and then I got interrupted, so I never finished. But I remember I saw the first one when I was younger. And let me just say, I was so confused, because I was like, I don't understand, I was so stupid. I was literally like, why is she mad? Like, I don't understand. Like, she asked him to do it. And then I watched it when I was older, and I'm just like, yeah, that makes so much sense. This makes no sense if you've never seen the movie, and I don't want to spoil it. But there's this scene at the end of the movie, if you watch it, or the book. I don't know the comparison of the book and the movie. But there's this scene where, basically, she asks him to do something extreme to see, like, what type of person he is, and he crosses a line that she's not comfortable with, and she leaves. And when I first saw that, I had a completely different response, and now I'm just like, she was literally freaking out because she's like, oh, you wanted to do that to me. Like, that was what in her head, that was just like, you wanted to do that was the issue. It was like, it wasn't that she was asking. That was also a huge issue. Like, their whole, their whole relationship dynamic was so messed up because she never wanted to do any of it, and she was just, like, so in love with him that she was literally just like, okay, I'll do anything just so that I can be with you. And then it created, like, such a unhealthy dynamic because he needed things that she couldn't provide, but she wanted to be with him. And so then it was like, it created this horrible, I will say it's a really good movie. I don't know how the other ones hold up, to be fair. I have not seen them that many times. I've saw them once. But it's pretty fucked up movie. It covers some very dark topics, including, like, sexual assault and grooming and stuff like that. So if that stuff is triggering, I would definitely avoid it. But let me just give you more promo for 50 Shades of Grey. I don't know. I thought watching it back, I'm just like, she realized that she was not into that because she never really signed up for it in the first place. And I feel like the second movie, if you're gonna, you can't start with the second movie. should definitely watch the first two at least together. Because I feel like in the second movie, it was more on even playing field. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do whatever I can to keep you, even if I hurt myself, which is what she was doing until she's finally like, I'm not going to do that anymore. And then the second one, it was more about her exploring her sexuality with the boundaries that she was comfortable with. And then him literally being like, oh, I feel like he was literally like, "Oh, you don't want to do this now." I don't think they did the thing of him giving her too much shit for her having. I mean, that's just freaking consent, basically. I feel like a lot of people don't understand that about. Like, I hate when I start off a sentence with like, "Yeah, this is only a problem for cis women," but I feel like a lot of people don't understand that a lot of situations, because um, females are not as turned on in situations, can come off a little bit like it. It's literally, it makes you feel a specific way. I'm trying not to be rude because there's so many people that like go to extremes to just like because they're just tired of it, or I don't know, it's just who they are. But there's like, I just think people need to be very careful, because I think we just all need to, like, just because I'm turned on doesn't mean this person is turned on. And there's a huge chance that you both could be turned on at the same point. But I feel like with with cis women, I feel like they're so difficult that doing anything when they're not in that mode can lead to them feeling like feelings of disgust or feelings of very uncomfortableness. And I feel like the solution to that is to just like, the problem is if you cannot like read the room, that's the problem. So like if you're not be able to read the signs and be like, oh, this person is feeling me right now, maybe I should do blah 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 blah. The problem is when people be like, oh, I'm feeling the situation right now, so then I'm gonna make a move, and then this whole situation happens. God knows what happens. When it sucks, but you literally would have to literally just wait until just wait until someone like dings and be like, oh, I'm ready. Obviously there's like things you can do to like make people, but like obviously I feel like the response is like, it's just so difficult. And I feel like that's, I talk about the divide so much, but I feel like it creates such problems because people are literally like, oh, you're like a prude, or you don't want to do this, or you're playing hot and cold. And I'm just like, no, just a lot of people just have different bodies, and it's a lot more difficult to get people in the same space that you are. I wish I could walk around turned on 24/7. I feel like my life would be a lot easier. But sadly, that is not the case. After that long ass tangent, boost your oral skill. What? How are you gonna boost your oral skills? Like, are they suggesting like take a class? Are we like practicing on toys? Are they giving us a course? Like, how are you boosting your oral skills? I can't imagine what a sex class would be like. And like, would they use like they would obviously use sex toys. It can't just be like them instructing an orgy. But I feel like that would be so uncomfortable. It's probably gonna be on the lines of like a baby and me class, but it's all sexual. Oh my god, that would be so uncomfortable. I would have to be like a one that you can get shit faced and then retain no information of the $400 class you had to take. Oh my god, that's life now. So basically, they want you to improve your oral skills. I feel like this is a go for everyone. Like, yeah. I don't think there's ever a time that you should ever suggest this. You just gift your partner a book. It's just 101 tips on how to have better oral sex. Are you trying to say something? This is horrible. Okay, so they're saying the same thing, which is like, she comes first, which is basically women orgasms are crazy as fuck. So I feel like most every time, like, I'm trying not to be too specific with this, but like a lot of mechanical stuff, there's a group here that is going to have an orgasm really quickly and really easily, and then there's another group that it's literally like a freaking equation on how to have an orgasm. And which even worse is because this group doesn't have like a sex drive as high, there's not a huge demand to like make sure that actually gets done. We've constantly talked about there's so many people that have never had an orgasm in their life ever, and it's completely normalized. Like, it's not something that's just like, oh my god, because we're not let me sound like I'm gonna cry. We're not bringing an environment where people understand what like healthy, safe sex is, or even like pleasure. Oh my god, that sounds so horrible talking about pleasure, but I feel like talking about pleasure is not a thing that happens in our society. And so we're not creating the environment where that's something that can be discussed or proved upon. And then we're not creating the environment where they can even handle it by themselves, which, even if that's something that you're going to do for the rest of your life, which I hope is not the case. But like when you have like the combination of both of those, you have someone that has literally never felt pleasure in their life. Like that sounds horrible to me. That sounds like that should not be something that someone is doing by choice. And it's not by choice. It's by a bunch of external circumstances that we can change. And I hope that we raise in an environment where it's okay to talk about, instead of, because the less taboo it gets, the more normalized it becomes. And when it's normal, it's gonna become less of an issue. When everyone realizes, oh no, this is what we do. No, duh. It's common sense. Like, I hope that's the point that we come to. Obviously, this is not like a major issue. Like, talking about world peace. I was literally just talking about that. I was like, I know this is not like the most realistic and it makes me sound like I'm Miss America. But like, if I would have anything, it would be like literally if we could find a way to have world peace. Like, that would literally, I feel like, how are we not in the time that we are living in? Like, we're not in caveman time. We're not in time where we would sail on ships everywhere. Like, this is the 21st century. Like, how do we not have, like, a organization where, like, every president of every country comes together to form an organization to work together? Like, I'm not even saying, like, everyone has to agree, because that sounds crazy. But it's mind-boggling that we could have all these states come together as one. We've never, in our history, created an environment where all of these countries could come together as one. Like, it makes no sense to me. I'm like, if even if we just had, like, some sort of organization or just something where, like, everyone sat and discussed the issues, I wouldn't mind if stuff was being tied up in negotiation for years. It seems a lot less drastic than when we're sending people out to die for something that we shouldn't still be doing. Like, it's so, in my head, it seems like something that we can fix. But obviously it's not something we can fix because of the tensions and because of the past and because of how each country is built up. But it's like, if that was something that I think that I feel like we as a whole world should have accomplished this already. I know that's such a tall task to do, but I feel like we should have done this. This, I don't know, it just feels so caveman of like, okay, I'm gonna send my people to kill your people, then we'll decide. And I'm not talking about like terrorist organizations or of us like basically like sending SWAT in, but like literally going to other countries as a whole is like mind-boggling to me. There's end of my rant. Oh, here's the next one, which is tying each other up. I feel like we covered this. This is like on the lines of BDSM. This is gonna be all about 50 Shades. this is where we get into a tricky situation of how open communication and enthusiastic consent needs to be happening. But I literally, this is a tricky one because we're dealing with a lot of people's triggers and we're dealing with a lot of things that even if people are not traumatized, this is just some of the stuff can be like just scary and daunting to look at, especially like when stuff is talking about inflicting pain. Like, I feel like that is definitely not something that no one should be pressured into anything. But that's definitely something that should be talked about and felt in the room of, like, is this something that people want? Is this something that people are comfortable with? Like, is this something that is going to actually bring this person pleasure? This is something that I feel like 100% communication needs to be had. But I feel like experimentation is really good for this one. So I feel like trying like really like small things and seeing if you guys like it, and then if it's something that's like real bad, just make sure that at any time if anyone wants this to stop, it's stopping. Like, if that I feel like if that's not communicated, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, okay. Okay, so we're down to actual tips. Okay, so this one they say this is obviously for only a specific amount of people, but it says grind, don't bounce. Uh, Put your partner in cowgirl position and have them grind, not bounce. So I don't know who is this making it feel better. So this is supposed to have a higher chance of an orgasm due to friction. Okay, so this is 100% for someone with a clitoris. I can see this happen. So you're trying to do two things at once while without even using. I feel like this one's good. This one's really good because I feel like if we're talking about people who feel emasculated, um, this is the one that you want to try. Yeah, that's actually a really good tip. Thank you. Play a sexy game or games. This sounds fun. I feel like why do I constantly feel like I'm gonna cry? I'm not crying, guys. Um, I feel like you should look up an adult board game and just see which one they have. I'm sure they have like dice or cards or like some sort of like just game, and then open like a. You might not even need a drink. I just feel like it makes it more fun. Hence the game as well. But I feel like this is definitely one when you're just like, oh, we've had sex in every position, in every place, in every an area. How do we make it more exciting? I feel like this is the one for maybe when it's gotten a little stale. Which also maybe people don't know, haven't communicated or been able to communicate yet. Well, I feel like that intensifies it. Okay, so we're going back down with dirty talk. This one again, I feel like communication has to be depending on how degrading or explicit it gets. I feel like you gotta field the question, maybe do the game night to figure out like what you are into. Find like a board game where you're literally like seeing what each other are into and get like shit faced. I feel like that's what I would do if that was something that was like uncomfortable. But I feel like if you know what you guys are into, I feel like this one's definitely going to enhance it. The question is, where can you do this? I don't feel like most people live in areas where you can just like openly have loud and vocal sex. I feel like finding that is probably the issue with this one. But yeah, I definitely think this one will enhance it. So this one is literally just says be spontaneous, which I was gonna make fun of, but then I thought about it and I'm like, yeah, for people who are like in long term relationships or they're used to a routine of like, okay, sorry, I have to stop trying to like sound like I'm gonna cry. Of like, okay, we're gonna get out of the shower, have sex, and then go to bed. that's happening. Jesus Christ. That's happening every night. Then I think doing something spontaneous of like, oh, let's like drive up to this crazy ass viewpoint and have sex in the car. Or I don't know. Just having sex on the middle of the kitchen. Stuff that's just like crazy, or stuff that you would never think of. I think I think that's what that's definitely meant for. Okay, so we're getting more specific with this one, and also ostracizing another group. And they just want to remind us to not forget about the balls. Very specific, wanted to remind us to show some love to the testicles. Which, again, I would not know about this tip. I wouldn't, sadly, I don't know anything. I don't know how, I don't know. I just preached about how some people are like so easy sexually. It's not so easy, but so easily sexually to figure out. And then I'm like, I have no fucking clue what the fucking testicles even feel like. I know what I'm told, and that's it. Okay, this is a good one, and that's like literally having sex in a mirror. I feel like that's good if you want like a specific position, and then you still want to be able to like see what's going on. Like, I feel like that's a way to like record yourself without recording yourself. If people are afraid of like what's gonna happen with the footage, I feel like having like a full-on mirror on the ceiling sounds fun, but like I have like a nightmare of it literally just falling and like just like destroying everyone. That I think that's an amazing tip. Watch each other? I don't really understand what this means. I think, is this like foreplay? Like, you're literally just like misfit style masturbating in front of each other? I think that's what they're saying. I could see that's something new. I think that's basically just, I don't know. I don't know if that's like, they keep going like, they should really have built up it, because it keeps going from like really small tip to something specific. The next one, which is fantasize. I feel like this is the same one of like we've already done. Yeah, I feel like they've covered this one. You guys are just repeating. Kiss like teenagers. I feel like this is a big one. I feel like a lot of people only make out when they're like literally not allowed to have sex. But I feel like making out is considered foreplay. And I feel like if you forget, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people forget, they don't make out because they're just like, okay, let's just get to the main part. But I feel like it should be considered foreplay, and we all know how important foreplay is, unless you're having a quickie. But I feel like this one is, yeah, kissing for hours. I don't know about that. I don't know who has time for that. But like once in a blue moon. If you have someone that's like issues heating up, key way, take your time. Oh yeah, as we just if we just discussed, I feel like unless it's a quickie, everything always feels better when it's drawn out. I don't know. I feel like just trying to make things, I feel like we're always constantly worried of, this is the end point, let's just get to the end point, that you forget the journey. But I feel like journey is like the most important part. So I feel like building it up, but also making sure that everyone is feeling pleasure and enjoyment. I don't know. I feel like that is very key. Make a bucket list for sex. I feel like this is an awesome date night. I feel like you should like literally turn around and make like a however long bucket list of like all of your like all-time sexual fantasies, and then compare them. I feel like that would be the funniest thing. I don't know. I feel like that would be the best time. That, yeah, doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna do it, but like I feel like I would swap lists and then just mark the ones that I'd be like, okay, this is never gonna happen in your life. Like, those would be like, I don't know. I don't know. There's like things that everyone has that they're like, yeah, this is not something I'm ever going to be comfortable with. And I feel like, yeah, voicing that is 100% important. Okay. We're getting specific with this one. Okay, so they basically want to grind with your clothes on. They said that 81% of women can't orgasm from penetrative sex alone. That's because what? Oh my god, the way they phrased this, I'm not saying exactly how they said it. They said that's because most of their focus has to be on grinding the clit against something. This is weird phrasing, guys. I 100% agree with this. I feel like as much as the vagina is important, I feel like if we're comparing, like, I don't know. I feel like if we're comparing like a clit to something on a male's body, I don't know why I emphasize that. I don't know if we're comparing like a clit to something. I feel like the clit would be compared to a penis. I feel like that would be like where 100% most of the pleasure is coming from. Then we have like the J spot, obviously, but I feel like people think, oh, vagina, and show like I'm so uncomfortable, and that's where most of the attention goes. But I feel like I don't know. This is so uncomfortable. I feel like a lot the attention should be put on the clip. Okay, that's all. They're basically saying that you should just grind with clothes on. The clothes are gonna make the friction better. Okay, this is getting scientific. Are we gonna fit it? Okay, I was just like, there's a lot of these. Oh my. I can't with the phrasing of this because it's so like the lack of care for these people. Okay, so they basically want you to like invite someone else into your bedroom. I feel like this could be fun. As I said before, I feel like doing this with someone that is gonna stay in your life is like recipe for horrible experience after horrible experience. But if you're able to be like mature and platonic, all good for you. I wish we all could live in that world. Okay, so this is what we all just discussed, which is the clit is everything. I literally like if I had to list this, we need to stop talking about vaginas. But if I had to list like vagina and clit, like the clit would be like 20 times over the vagina. Not that, but I feel like people don't know. It's not like it's as much as women make fun of like penis sizes, I guess. Not I'm uncomfortable because like this is the cause that I want to go with. But as much as they make fun of it, literally like the female clitoris, the clitoris is literally the tiniest thing ever. And like no one knows how to even find it, and that's the problem. But that's basically found out that it's superior, and it's literally the the king of the castle. Okay, this one's a little bit weird. So they want you to like basically compliment them. So they're saying like boost their ego. I think this is like just basically making sure they're confident. Because if you're having sex and you're not comfortable and you're not confident in what you look like or like what you're doing, I think it's just a recipe for a bad time as well. So I think what this is making sure that their confidence is up. What I would say. Because they could if someone is literally not feeling good about themselves, it's just not a good experience. Exploring non-sexual touching. So this is like intimacy. I definitely think intimacy will turn you on, and it's such a different thing because I feel like that's how you get in my head the difference of like, oh, someone's just like, pardon my French, fucking, to like someone's like making love. I feel like intimacy is like the barrier that keeps those two apart. And I feel like once that's broached, then I know, at least for me, it's literally like a love spell has been put over you when like that deadly combo is hit. There's so many sex positions when I'm literally like, what is the point of this? So I'm literally like gonna be so there's someone's literally gonna be holding someone up while they're having sex. Like, does this increase pleasure or like anything at all, or is it? I'm so confused. I'm like, just so we can have sex in like crazy ass positions. This is 100% the only reason why we need to do this. Like, it's I definitely feel like I don't know. I feel like it might be just like a huge waste of time. But it could be just be like trying something new, and then you're like in a very uncomfortable position, and you look in the mirror and you're like, why are we doing this? I think we've talked about that before, but I feel like whether you're like a poly relationship, whether your relationship is exclusive, whatever type of relationship you have, I feel like when anyone's in this danger zone of there's no communication and it's not defined, anything is up for grabs. Because of people, you know what I mean? Because there's no clear rules being set on what is okay and what is not okay, and what makes this person uncomfortable and what makes this person uncomfortable, then there's literally it ends up with a lot of people being extremely jealous in a lot of horrible situations that could be avoided if there was a situation where the rules could literally be just decided on. This is what we're gonna do, this is what we are, this is what we're not gonna be doing. And I feel like when that conversation hasn't, even if it is like a relationship and you're gonna be like, we're dating multiple people and we're dating each other at the same time, I feel like going into that without specific communication and specific rules, especially when you're doing that type of specific relationship, it just says specific so many times, I feel like it's just a recipe for disaster. I feel like if you're hooking up independently or you're just hooking up with a bunch of other people, I feel like it's casual. So I feel like it's not going to be, in my head, I don't think anything is going to be, I don't think jealousy is going to be a huge thing unless it's like a territorial issue with other people. You know, when like someone hears that the person they're hooking up with, it's hooking up with other people, so now it's an image issue. But I feel like when it's serious, so when the feelings have developed at any point, I feel like jealousy is a huge thing. When jealousy is involved, a lot of things can happen. So not avoiding it, but like trying to avoid triggers, and definitely learning on basically what we're gonna do when we're jealous. This sounds like we're in a therapy session for children. Oh god. But I feel like without having that conversation, without having a clear set of boundaries or clear set of rules for your relationship, a lot of miscommunication, a lot of issues are gonna I can't speak. A lot of issues are gonna multiply and get worse. So I feel like if you're getting serious, that conversation needs to happen, and if it's not going to happen, it's going to create a lot of issues. But that's all coming from someone that probably doesn't know what they're talking about. Let me tell you a little story of the time that I bought a $200 cologne. So this was back in 2019, let me say, so fear of judgment. And I was like desperate. I had such like bad feelings for this person at this time. And they told me the specific cologne that they wanted to get. And I picked it out on Amazon. It was like shipped through Amazon, but it was not shipped through like their company. So like it took like a month and a half to get there. And then when it finally got there, kid you not, a $100 cologne. And at this time, I was probably paying with roommates $500 in rent plus like food and all utilities, and I had no money to my name at this point. So I had probably about like $200 to $300 left. Like, so basically this was all money to my name at this point. Once the said cologne arrived, I had found out that it had actually not been the right cologne, and I had purchased the wrong one entirely. And I feel like a normal person would like be like, okay, you'll get it next time. Instead, I decided to buy yet another $100 cologne that was supposed to be the right and correct dollar. It was supposed to be the correct one, and it was the correct one. I didn't mind buying it. I didn't mind having to like buy a specific one for someone, but like it was such a stupid and reckless decision because it was literally all the money I had to my name at the time. Like, I was so young, and even more sad part about it is like a date did not happen. Like, I was not in a relationship with this person. I was 100% like it did not happen at all. Like, it would obviously nothing was like meant to like get, like, I wasn't like trying to get the cologne so that something else would happen, but like I just think it's so funny that I put so much effort into something and like literally just like, haha, joke's on you, this is not actually gonna go how you think it's gonna go. Another story when I was a kid, and also really like not smart. I mean, we're freaking children. In my hometown, like, there's one of my favorite places to eat was called Chopsticks, and I didn't use chopsticks, but they had chopsticks there in the title of the place. And so I probably must have been like 4. Like, I was so young, 4 or 5 at this time. And I was running with the chopstick in my mouth. And I tripped while I was running with the chopsticks in my mouth, and I literally skewered myself with the chopsticks. Like, the chopsticks went down my throat and poked the back of my mouth. Like, it was so extreme. I remember being in the back of an ambulance, but to this day, my mom would be like, no, that never happened. You were not in an ambulance. And I'm like, I 100% remember being in the back of the ambulance. So there's a debate because I was so young. But it was so extreme. Like, to this day, my mom blames my dad, and I'm like 90% sure my dad blames my mom. Like, it was like, do not let your kid run with chopsticks, but I feel like I don't have to tell people. I feel like that's common sense. Okay, let's end this with this. Okay, this has really turned into the love and dating podcast. Who am I, Card? Who am I? So this is supposed to be based on this dude named Brian's romantic. Brian's. Okay, this is like tilting. Brian's study on the relationship stages in modern day today. So I thought we would go over it to see if this is accurate as modern day daters. So apparently the first stage is called flirtationship. So this is the stage where literally like the interest has been piqued by one party. You know, someone's flirting, texting, like, you know, smiles, like light touching, that type of stage. And then we have the second stage, which is supposed to be relationship potential. And this is supposed to be someone that, okay, you've had the conversation, you guys both actually are interested into each other. Maybe you're like, I don't know, would this be courting? So, like, you're going on dates to see if this is going to be a serious relationship. They don't court nowadays, but, like, I think this stage would be considered courting. And then we have stage 3, which is you have full-on had the DTR conversation. It is now a full-blown relationship. Serious. Labels are on it. World is crumbling. And then we have stage 4, which is supposed to be the big commitments. So this is moving in, or marriage, or children. Just basically loud gestures that say, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. So ask yourself, what stage are you in your relationship today? Where am I going with this? Oh my god. Uh, I don't know. I feel like if I'm doing this, like, I'm not full on having a conversation. Oh god. I should not be producing my own show. I am so sorry. This is such, like, a shitty, like, welcome to the shit show. If I had to classify or say a level, I would say 3. That's a bit scary to say, but I would 100% say 3. I wanted to be a 4, but I would say 3. So I'm looking at the time, and I really wanted to go, like, over an hour, but I'm, like, having such a hard time with technical shit around here. I don't want to make my life harder, and we're gonna try to end this now. I really loved you guys listening to me talk. I love talking to you guys. Honestly, wish I could do more a week, but I'm just, like, not good with coming up with topics. Like, I like finding articles, and so now that we've talked about being left out at dodgeball, all my links are down below if you want to check me out on any other platform. I've been living it up on Snapchat daily if you want to go check that out. All the archives are up there, sadly. Might need to take those down. But I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to me talk. This has been your emotional soundboard. Bye.